Endy was the nicest person alive. He lived in a beautiful house with his husband and two adorable children, and every day he would wake up and give millions of pounds to thousands of different charities before jumping out of bed and making a vegan breakfast for his vegan husband, quietly, of course, as his children were asleep. And so, whilst he was making the vegan breakfast, he saw a cat stuck in the tree, and so he would help it out of the tree, to the child's delight, who was panicking about it, as it was their cat who was stuck in the tree, before Endy would go back, finish the vegan breakfast, and have a scrumptious meal with his family. Then, later on this day, like so many other days, he would go with his family for a lovely walk, where he saw an old woman struggling to cross the road, and so he endeavoured to go help her, which took 5 minutes, but Endy wouldn't mind. And Jimothy said to him, after he did this task for the old lady, "Endy, you don't need to help everyone, seriously, not everyone wants your help." But Endy would say, "Oh, it's fine, Jimothy. People want my help, and I'm glad to give it to them." And on this day, like every other day, Jimothy would just say, "I know, because you are the best person ever, Endy." And Endy would say, "Yeah, I am, and I know I am." And then they would go to sleep, like every other day, and have nice, happy dreams. And then the next morning, "Get off my darn lawn, you stupid children! Bang! Bang! Jimothy, hi! Good morning. I'm shooting the kids on our lawn because they stepped on it. How dare they?"
So that cold opening basically explains Endy's and Jimothy's relationship in a nutshell, and thank you to my best friend for doing a really good job of voice acting that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about how Endy and Jimothy were created, and then I'll talk about what my brother decided their backstory was, then I'll talk about some of the things my brother did with them, and then I'll talk about them in the present day. Well, I guess we should get started then. It all started out in Blackpool. We'd already got some FNAF teddies anyway, so why not get some Minecraft ones too? My brother chose an Enderman teddy and named it Endy. I know, very original. But then I had the most important choice of my life. Did I want a Minecraft skeleton teddy or a Minecraft zombie teddy? It was such a hard decision, but for some reason, I was drawn to the Minecraft zombie teddy. I just knew that this would be the beginning of something new. So I chose a Minecraft zombie teddy and I named it Jimothy. And yeah, I kind of named it after a mannequin that someone named in Granny.
And we're here with our mannequin named Jimothy. We're calling Jimothy.
So I guess I'm not even that creative either. Anyway, as kids do, we got bored, so we decided to try and make a story out of the teddies we had. So at that time, we had 2 FNAF teddies, 3 Bendy Link Machine teddies, and Endy and Jimothy, of course. So we proceeded to make a story where Freddy, Bonnie, Alice, Boris, and Bendy were being taught by Endy, but it ended up just being Endy turning into a mad scientist and Jimothy being the wimpiest head teacher you've ever seen. Oh yeah, and then we introduced Sans and Papyrus and Dusty. Yeah, Dusty. He even existed before the Skellyman family too. And a little while after that, lockdown happened, and in that time, I ended up becoming a really big Music Freaks fan. And I remember that episode 5 of the Music Freaks came out, and I kind of caught my brother up on it, and I showed him Lander. Now, don't worry, Rosie. I promise you, your ship is nothing like Jendy. I mean, Jendy's more interesting for a start. But anyway, I showed him Lander, and he was like, "Oh, I Endy and Jimothy to be like this. Endy's gonna wear a suit and be purple, and Jimothy's going to exist like Luke exists. And so that's what he did. And that's kind of where the ship Jendi came from. And then, with the power of Lander, that created Endy and Jimothy's super cute romantic backstory. And this is their backstory. Make sure to get your tissues because this is the saddest, romanticest, everythingest story you'll ever hear. It's even more than Romeo and Juliet. Trust me. Without further ado, here's Endy and Jimothy's super cute romantic backstory.
Jimothy was a lonely Minecraft zombie who had no friends, whose family hated him, and who ate Minecraft carrots for breakfast, lunch and tea because that's all he could have as he was vegan and in Minecraft.
Hey, I was vegetarian.
Shut up, Jimothy. Anyway, on one fateful day, he was running away from everyone who hated him, which was everyone, until he met, and when I say met, he ran straight into this Enderman kid, whose name is Endy, and looked straight into his eyes. When he immediately said, "Oh," in his brain, because he couldn't really say it out loud, because otherwise his dad would have beaten him. So Jimothy ran away before his father could beat him, and he ran so far into the forest that he went over a ditch, which the Enderman kid called Endy fell into, and because Jimothy was stupid and only had one brain cell, he decided to go and help this Enderman out of the ditch before the Enderman said, "You're coming to my house for a sleepover now." So Jimothy was so terrified of Endy that he couldn't say no, and so he went for a sleepover at Endy's house, and in the middle of the night he woke up to the Enderman hugging him like a teddy bear, his mum just saying, "Oh yeah, no, sorry, he does this sometimes," and Endy's sister making very loud noises in the other room as she was doing someone. And after that day, their friendship blossomed. Until, that is, many years later, when Jimothy, and drumroll, please, went out with a girl. How dare you, Jimothy? How dare you go out with a girl? Oh wait, no, aren't I supposed to be sad? I think I'm supposed to be sad about this. Jimothy explained that it was peer pressure, and then Endy said, "Okay," and then they got together. Oh, and by the way, this is all in sixth form. Just thought I should point that out. Oh, and also, when they finally proposed to each other, they proposed at the same time, because that's cute, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, the end.
Except, that's not the end. Endy and Jimothy ended up meeting the Skellyman family. Now Endy thought, "Oh my god, it's the police!" because he had just killed the Ender Dragon of Jimothy. But no, they were just the Skellyman family. They went on a lot of adventures. Everyone always relied on Endy because it's Endy and he can do anything. But then one day, Endy went too far. He decided to murder someone again. And Jimothy was like, "You know what, Endy? I'm sick of this. You're always murdering people, and I don't like this. So I'm leaving you, and I'm gonna go stay at the Skillyman families for a bit." And then Endy was like, "I'll come back. I'll just wait out here for him with some gifts and some romantic stuff." So Endy waited, and waited, and waited, and waited, and then he starved to death. And then Jimothy decided to come back because, again, he only has one brain cell, and he saw this. And no, that's not grape juice. In Zach's story, Endermen have purple blood, so Endy literally wrote in his own blood on the ground, "I love you, Jimothy." So Jimothy, the smart person he is, decided to do this. So Jimothy saw this, screamed like a girl, and ran away back to the Skellyman family's house. The only problem was, when Jimothy got back there, something terrifying was waiting for him.
Hi, Jimothy.
Now, if you're a normal person with actual sense, you're wondering, how is he alive? Didn't he starve to death? And the answer is yes, he did starve to death. But you see, Endy can do anything and everything. He can make anything. So basically, he has these things called life syringes, which are basically just angel blood. And apparently, you can use them to bring a dead body back to life as long as the body hasn't rotted yet. So Andy probably just got one of his clones to use it on him. That's usually what he does. Either that or he was reincarnated into one of his clones. That happens too. It's either or, really. Anyway, Andy was so angry at Jimothy that he decided that he wanted to make him suffer. So, he shot Jimothy with a bullet that would make him immortal. And when I say immortal, I don't mean not aging or anything like that. I just mean immortal as in you can never die, no matter how many injuries you get. And then he proceeded to start ripping Jimothy's guts out. While the Skellyman family stood there and watched like NPCs. And as Jimothy screamed for help, but nobody helped him, even though his screams could be heard from down the street, Jimothy realized that the kind person he used to see in Endy never really existed. He should have seen all of the red flags before, especially Endy shooting him in Tesco's last week. But now he realizes that he will be with Endy forever, and no matter what he does, he will always end up coming back to Endy, willingly or not. And that's kind of the end of Gendy, or at least the non-toxic parts of it. But then you have Non-Ballsack, which my brother created. Well, it's not actually called Non-Ballsack, but it's what my best friend and I nicknamed it, because Endy and Jimothy are really, really wimpy, especially Endy. Literally every 5 seconds, he's like, "Jimothy, save me!" And the Enderman Council hate him because he's trying to be a nice Endy. And they got stuck in a desert once with these weird, like, pet friend roommate creature things. And they went through all these different weird adventures. It was the usual stuff, except it was more just Endy and Jimothy. The Skellyman family weren't really around anymore. And then one day, turns out, Endy actually isn't gay, or is gay, but got a wife because he doesn't remember Jimothy. And I said to Zach, wait, isn't that just bi though? And he's like, no, Endy's gay, he just loves his wife. And I'm like, but that I think he's bi, Zach. And Zach's like, no, Endy's gay. Anyway, turns out that non-boss like Endy is actually really evil and has been bounty hunting Jimothy's all this time. So then everyone becomes Endy's enemy. Then Benny 18 comes and just basically ends the story because it got really boring. And then my brother restarted it again and again and again. Honestly, even more times than my best friend has restarted stories. And she has 4 different versions of the same story. And I bet you're wondering, after all that tragedy, after all that struggle, what were these characters actually supposed to be like? Because they're definitely not how they were supposed to be now. They're something completely different now. Well, I'll tell you what they're supposed to be like. Well, let's start with Endy. Endy was supposed to be a cool scientist who could make anything out of anything. He was really smart, and he was supposed to be really kind and care about people. Although we have a better one of those. But do you want to know what Endy's actually like? I mean, you already know, but I'm just reconfirming it. Endy now is an evil, obsessive, yandere, mad scientist, But although in Zach's story he's monotone for some reason, I don't know why. I prefer him when he sounds like this, but you know. Zach wants him to sound like this. Now, Jimothy's is more of a tragic story because he was one of my characters and one that I really cared about and really wanted to be something. Jimothy was supposed to be a cool rock star who was rebellious when he was younger. Not many people liked him for wanting to do things differently, but he still did anyway. He tries to be optimistic and kind to people. But the thing is, that didn't really happen because of all of the circumstances in Zach's story. For example, he couldn't be a rock star because he was being attacked every single day. It was really hard to be optimistic when you were just being attacked all the time. You never even got to have a conversation more than 3 words long with people, and then his husband turned evil. How was he supposed to be optimistic? And then, you know, just more and more things that were good about Jimothy just disappeared because of the circumstances of Zach's story, and his character's been ruined now. Well, it's fine because I've got a best friend who I roleplay stories of all the time, and she lets me create cool, amazing, happy characters. Some sad ones too, but mostly happy, and we have a good time, and I actually get to make decisions as those characters, so she's amazing. And now, Endy and Jimothy's two adopted children, Jimothy Jr. and Lisa. So Jimothy Jr. was supposed to be a happy, nice kid who liked his dad, Endy, a lot. Now he's actually a psychopathic kid who's obsessed with cupcakes and is obsessed with his dad. And Lisa, well, she's not even worth mentioning. She's that boring, she just goes on her phone all day. Now breathe in and breathe out. The video is almost over. But don't worry, your bravery of watching this video for 17 minutes will be rewarded with the highlights of Endy and Jimothy and the actually interesting kid. So first we have Endy. Oh my god, Endy, we need your help. There's a giant volcano dinosaur. Well, I'm doing family time right now, so, come back later. You gotta be patient, alright? Because family time is the most important thing. What? So this is my Endy clones. This one is especially designed to be French. And then you have my god-killing mechs. I gave the strongest one to my son, and I gave the weakest one to my husband. I even put a fighting mode on the mech, so Jimothy didn't have to fight anyone, because I know he's a vegan pacifist, and I'm sure he'd prefer being a bystander than being a murderer, right? Oh my god, my brother's dead. Oh well, get a new one! And now, it's Jimothy's turn. Welcome to Endy News, everybody. Except Jimothy's, you're not welcome, because guess what? An Endy zombie xenomorph hybrid apocalypse happened because a Jimothy decided to punch a poor, innocent Endy. So now, we have to rebuild the city again, although we have already done that already. We did it like 5 minutes ago. Yeah. Also, we're all gonna move and abandon this Jimothy here to deal with the evil robot that's also coming to kill us. So that will be fun for him. And you see, this is what happens when I actually fight back. I can never win. I can never freaking win. And now it's Jimothy Jr.'s turn. Finally, I managed to send a camera back in time to see who really killed my father. Let's watch. Jimothy. And after all that suffering, and after all that drama, Endy and Jimothy don't even actually really exist in our role plays anymore. I mean, I'm gonna get really bored without them, so wish me luck. But, seriously, thanks for watching this far. It's been really cool for me to look at my old memories and see that I did have a lot of fun. And, you're amazing. Yes, that's the thing I'm actually saying now. It's my outro. Bye!